The Redondo Beach Center for Spiritual Living and the Ministry of Dr. Moira Foxe presents Living Ideas.
How are you? Welcome into the sanctuary. Are you enjoying this crisp morning? It's a great good day. There you are. Typical example of that. I'm waiting for Catherine and Catherine's waiting for me to come out. We spend our life doing that a lot, don't we? To people thinking, well, anyway, let's center ourselves in the awareness of that which is always stable, steady, and on the ball. Let's take a conscious, connected breath now. So this is what each one of us can know. Right here and right now, I have an amazing opportunity. And that opportunity is to get in touch with the great self of myself, and in so doing, come into that awareness of the understanding that life is good, life is very good, and I am its celebration. This is what I can know right here and right now. That all is well within, without, above, below, and all around and about, because there is only this thing called life. There is this thing called God. There is this thing called peace and beauty and grace and power and love and joy and understanding and wisdom and goodness and kindness and compassion. And it's everywhere present. And it's available to me, but I have to know it is available through me. So that one power, that one life, that one presence that is present everywhere, has to be right where I am. Has to be on the inside of me and on the outside of me. And when I know that, and I allow myself to identify with that, everything coalesces, everything comes into alignment, everything comes into that state of equilibrium, balance, and all is well. Now, that's the exciting thing that is always and ever available to me. Once I can recognize it and know it and identify with it, then anything that I so desire to release myself from or attract into my life is available to me. And so I'm calling upon that power, I am calling upon that presence now to awaken me, to lighten my mind, to fill my mind with that light of awareness so that I can get clear. I can be clear in who I am, what I am, and why I am. And in so doing, then, live my life as the celebration that it is. I am the infinite's desire manifested in form so that the infinite can know itself by means of me. I am God's gift to this world. I am God's generous donation to this world. And I want to be sure that that donation, that gift, is used wisely and well. That's what I'm knowing now. That's the real truth of me, no matter what all the stories are that are showing up in my life right now. No matter how difficult, no matter how challenging circumstances seem to be, or how difficult and challenging I am to myself, nevertheless, the truth is I am God's gift to the world. And I am here to be its celebration. And if I can just move into that awareness, especially in difficult times, then the difficult times will dissipate themselves and move on out of my life quickly and with grace and ease. So that's what I'm knowing. That's what I'm available to. That's what I'm showing up for. that I can get on the inside of this awareness, and in so doing, have the ability to handle my life, whatever that appears to be in any given moment, with that poise and that awareness that good always comes out of everything when I know good always comes out of everything. So I say speak, for I am ready now to listen and to enter into that clarity and that certainty of being more than I think I am, and touching that greatness that lives within me, has its being by means of me. And I know that this is the blessing now that I'm accepting and setting the intention to realize more fully every single day of my life. I'm knowing it for myself. I am knowing it for all those near and dear to me, and I am knowing it for every person on this plane and for every living thing, that God is all in all. God is all there is only God. And God is right where I am, and where God is, all is well. So I'm grateful to be in this energy now. I'm grateful to be mindful of this truth now, as I, with great glad thanksgiving, joy, and love, release this amazing awareness of truth into law, letting it be so as I say. And so it is. And so indeed it is. Now that's beautiful and lovely when we're in the sanctuary and we're thinking that and we're feeling that and we can go with that, and it's just so wondrous indeed. But you'll only know you're getting it when you're hacking and coughing and sneezing and doing all of that stuff too. And then you can say to yourself, I am not this appearance. I am not this appearance. I am so much more than that, and this appearance is dissipating itself as I remember that I am so much more than that. And that's when you know you're getting it. To identify with this teaching when everything is hunky-dory and all is going well and so on, I mean, there's no thanks much to us for that. It's to be able to identify with it when we're in a tight spot, when we're feeling squished or things are not going the way we would like them to go. That's when you know you're getting it. It's to be able to know beyond the shadow of a doubt, this is passing. Kind of like the paper cut. You get a paper cut. Oh my gosh, are those things sore? Those things are very, very, very sore. You can feel the pain of a paper cut in every part of your body when you first cut your finger. But you don't get all upset, and you don't start to make your will, and you don't say, I'm dying. It's a paper cut. It's going to get better. It's passing. It will move itself along. Now, if we had the same kind of response to any other great thing that we might be told is ailing us, as it happens with the paper cut, it would happen with that other thing too. Because it doesn't disturb us, it doesn't affright us, it doesn't concern us, it doesn't disturb us. It's a paper cut. Yeah, it's throbbing like all get up, but it'll settle down. Now, if that was the attitude we had to any what seems to be disaster in our lives, it would pass very quickly and heal as quickly as a paper cut does. You see, that's where we need to be when we're really working the teaching. And that's where we can be. Love this book. And one of the reasons why I love this book too is at the back of it they've all kinds of questions. They're asking Ernest Holmes, this thing is eating me up, so if I start doing this, it's not because I have fleas or anything. It's just... And when I wear it for a while and it starts doing this, I realize why I don't often wear it. You know how that is. Well, the ladies do, I'm sure, anyway. But it has questions at the back of the book, and these are questions that are asked directly to Dr. Ernest Holmes, and he answers them. And at the back of his book, Love and Law, one of the questions is, how often should you treat? What is a treatment? And fear not, it's not a diatribe in response, it's a very short answer. He says, a treatment is inducing upon the subjective mind a state of thought. A treatment is complete when the induction is complete. Do it until you know it is done. Do it until the answer is yes. I would treat not with a lack of confidence, but with a sense of treating until it is done and you know it is done. Principle never fails. We often fail to live up to it. So he's simply saying, treatment is presenting to your mind, introducing to your inner mind, your subconscious mind, a new thought, a thought that you want to have it pick up and work on so that it can happen in your life. And he says you have to do that until whatever it is you're working on happens, until the universe says yes, more or less. So, as often as it is needed, you will support your treatment. Now, at one place he says you only ever have to treat once. And in another place he says treat and treat and treat until you get your result. Now, what that means is you treat once, very clearly, very assuredly, very definitely. And then, when you begin to wax and wane and, the energy dwindles, you recommit to the treatment you've already treated. You buff it up. You support it. And you tell yourself, as I have already stated, and then you go through it again. As I have already declared, and you go through it again. As I already know, and you go through it again. That means treat until you get your result. And how long it's going to take is up to you. And how long it's going to take is going to depend upon the power of your conviction. As soon as you put down the pom-poms and you're not that cheery, the energy around your treatment is going to get a little weakened. You need to keep the pom-poms and, the cheerleading stuff up so that it can happen as quickly as possible. But you can't treat and walk away from it in the sense that you have to keep knowing it and feeling it and allowing it. And to do that, you have to assume the wish, the desired thing already happened in your life. And feel like as if it had happened, think like as if it had happened, and behave yourself like as if it had happened. And then it will. One day you'll wake up and there it'll be. That's the way it works. So it's a question of keeping encouraged and encouraging your mind to allow that new thought that you want to have take root in your subconscious mind to take root. It's like encouraging a child. You have to keep encouraging a child all the time to have faith in himself, herself. You have to keep encouraging your mind, to go with this flow. And that's the way you do it. You support it, you back it up, and you keep your energy on fire underneath it. Don't let the fire of conviction go out. Once you let the fire of conviction go out under what you think and believe, then the whole thing weakens, and the likelihood of it coming into your experience is slim to none. And you're going to have to start all over again. So you treat with that awareness and that knowledge that you live in a complete and finished universe, and that your good is, all of it is there for you already in the realm of the invisible. And it's through your spoken word and your clarity in your spoken word, and with that amazing sense of it is so, that you flesh it out into your life. The process is a very simple process. Nothing difficult around understanding it. You have a thought. It's a thought that's a creative thought. It's a thought that wants you to accomplish something. And it comes from your greater self, not from your egoic self, small self. It comes from your great self. It's an inspired thought. So you have to get clear about that inspired thought. Oh, yes. And you have to say, yeah, maybe the time has come for this to happen. And go from the maybe to the time for this has come for this to happen. And then you surround that with a sense of acceptance. Yes, I'm ready for this. I'll show up for this. I will allow myself to be open and receptive to this. I will allow myself to be available to this. That's clarity. And then look at it again and say, are you really clear? Are you really clear? Are you going to give a wholehearted yes to this? And if you can say absolutely yes, then the next step is the sowing of that seed into your subjective mind, your subconscious mind. To drop that into the fertile soil of the creative process in your mind, which is at the subconscious level. And so you get clear and you speak the word out loud to yourself. Write the word out loud on a piece of paper. That's the first step in getting it out into the world in demonstration, in physical form. The physical word on the page, the physical word coming out of your mouth. Speak it out loud and write it out loud. That's the first step. And then the second step is then to support that. You can't just walk away from it thinking the magic is taking care of all of that, the magic of getting clear, the magic of speaking or writing my word, and then leaving it alone and not supporting it. You have to support it. How do you support it? By feeling good every time you think about it. By saying something affirmative every time you think about it. By saying, oh, isn't it great, I'm handling this at last. This good is on its way to me and nothing and no one is going to get in the way of it. That's how you do it. That would be 2A. And 2B would be, first step, of course, is getting clear. The second step is then declaring it, which is 2. 2A is, supporting it in that way every time you think about it. But 2B is, don't tell anybody about it. Don't tell anybody about it. Keep your lips zipped. Stay with it yourself. Give it the room to grow before you start blabbing all over the place. Keep it to yourself. Why is that? Because it's well-known psychological fact that when you keep telling everybody all the things you're going to do, your mind gets tricked and thinks, well, you're doing it. You're doing it. And when you tell it enough times, the mind thinks she's done it. And so the energy and the action that is required of the mind to go into full throttle is not happening. You dissipate all the energy around it. That's the number one reason. And the number two reason is usually the people you tell are going to laugh at you or say, yeah, it's going to happen. Be cynical around it. You know how many times you've tried this and how many times you've tried that, and and for whatever reason people like to rain on other people's parades and hail on their crops, and we're not going into that. That's another talk for another time. But that's the other part of keeping your mouth shut when it comes to what it is you want to realize and what it is you want to achieve. This is something that's going on between you and the power within you. This is an action. This is an enterprise that you've entered into with yourself and your higher self, and that's more than enough to get the work done. So, you keep supporting the idea. You keep supporting the idea, and then you move your feet. It's just 3 things. Get very clear. State it, write it down, keep quiet about it, and then treat and move your feet. You have to move your feet. What is the action that must occur out of your statement into mind? You have to start living as though it were already so. And the easiest example to give to you around that is if I want, now I'm not talking about just out of greed, I want a second car or a third car or a fourth car, but I want a decent car. My car is on the blink or whatever it is. And I need something that I can rely on and is going to take care of me. Well, what I have to do then is to research. What kind of car do I want? Choose the car you want. Now, you're not going to go from a Mini or if your budget allows you to have, whatever car you have. And Minis are awfully cute, actually, and so are the Bugs. They're very, very cute. But say your budget is for a Bug. Don't expect to get yourself a Ferrari in your treatment work. From a Bug to a Ferrari, that could be a country song. Be sensible with this and think of something that you know for you is doable, something that you can believe can happen for you. If it's unbelievable to everybody else, it's probably unbelievable to you too. So you're not going to have the same conviction around that. So choose something that, that is in your mind. Everything is possible in divine mind, but in your mind, it has to be something that you can latch onto and really get a grip on. So whatever that car is, then you would choose the car. And then you would go to the car salesmanship or wherever it is. You would buy a car online or whatever. Some people, I know somebody who bought a car on eBay or something. God bless their courage. But anyway, you go to wherever it is you're going to get the car from. And me personally, I would be going down to the showrooms and I'd be looking at the model and I'd be sitting in the model and I'd be getting that nice wafting scent of that new car thing. And I'd be test driving the model and so on. And then I would be putting a picture of the car on my refrigerator or whatever, that kind of thing. And that's what I've done donkeys years ago. That's how I got my first great good car. That's what I did. And I could see myself in the car. I could see myself driving the car. I could see myself in possession of that car, and that car being good for me and me being good for it. So whatever that is, you have to get a real sense of that experience in your mind. Now, it's easier to do with a car than it is with your ideal mate. You can't test ride any ideal mates, You can't say, could I borrow you for a week or two? Let me get the feeling and the sense of it. You can't do that with regard to relationships. But you can do it with regard to stuff and things. And when it comes to a relationship, all you have to do for an ideal relationship is to think about that person that you would want in your life with all the characteristics that that person would have in order for you to see that person as the ideal mate. And then the not so simple part of that is become all of those things yourself. And then you will attract them. Become the things that you desire in your ideal mate and you will attract the ideal mate. But don't think, if you're a crabby babby and you want this perfect, wonderful individual to find you, that perfect individual, the crabby babby is going to find you. Because you attract who and what you are. So that's the other side of attracting the ideal mate, you see. The ideal job. Well, again, you can get a sense of that, the ideal job, whatever you think that would be. But you have to sit with that for a while and think about what wants to show up by means of you as creativity. Now, our creative work is our work in life and living. Our creative expression is our job, is our work in life, it's our calling, it's our mission, it's whatever it is we spend our time doing every day as a livelihood. And I like the word livelihood because our jobs should enable us to be lively. And so you're going to have to allow Spirit to really reveal through you what your calling is. So that's going to take you some very quiet time and some very silent time and open receptivity to allow Spirit to speak through you in that way with regard to your calling. But once you get it, and you will get it if you show up for it, then you have to know that the way is going to be made straight before you for that to happen. And any little inspiration you get at all, you follow it up, no matter how silly it might seem to be, but you follow it up. Any little inspiration at all, and you will be given inspiration if you're really serious about it and you're doing it aright. It doesn't matter what it is you want to attract into your life. It's there for you if it is for your good and for the good of others. You cannot ask for things that are not for your good or not for the good of others, because the law of nature cannot go against itself. It's impossible. So whatever that is has to be for your good and the good of others. And so you have to be led by divine inspiration into what is for your good. So what does it all come back to? Showing up to be present to that which is greater than you are. And you can be present to that which is greater than you are in so many ways. You know, walking on the beach, walking, for a nice walk, or out in the garden, doing something in the garden, that inspiration can come to you. There's so many ways that you can be present consciously with that which is greater than you are. The gardeners, if you talk to gardeners, they just so love their gardening, and they'll say they love to be out in nature and, working with the soil and so on, and see things grow and plant seeds and so on. And it's easy for those who are in that way inclined to have a sense of something greater than themselves, because they can see it in action in the garden, And then when you're doing that, the way, it's not to have deep, long philosophical discussions with your source, but praising and thanking. Praising and thanking. Best way to be inspired is to praise and thank. Thank and praise. You don't need, a philosopher's degree for that. You don't have to be the greatest, speaker in the world for that. You don't have to be, anything other. Somebody that is getting it. They can appreciate all the little things in life, and because of that feel so grateful and thankful. And you cannot feel thankful and grateful without praising. Those two things go hand in hand. You praise that which fills you with gratitude, which fills you with thankfulness, even if you don't know what that is to begin with. You just feel grateful, and you're praising whatever that is that can raise you up, because gratitude and thanksgiving and praise raises us up out of the doldrums. I'm telling you, you really cannot be miserable. Try it. You cannot be miserable and be grateful at the same time. It's impossible. It's absolutely impossible to be miserable and grateful and thankful at the same time. You cannot be miserable and praise at the same time. It's impossible. So the way to stay out of misery is to keep praising and keep thanking, keep blessing. And that way you're always keeping yourself uplifted, and everything and everyone around and about you too. That's the way that works. It's a beautiful thing. So treatment is much more than a formula, which is our spiritual mind treatment, is our affirmative way of praying. It's much more than a formula. The formula doesn't work. It's the energy and the attitude and the open receptivity you have when you decide something must be done. If you've gotten to the point ever where you say, oh, something has to happen now, something's got to give, this has to change, everything, I've enough already. Well, that's when you're ready now. See, you're priming the pump here now of conviction. And you're getting on the pony of demonstration now, and you're ready to, I'm telling you, trot at least in the beginning, and then fly with it. And that's why you don't tell anybody what you're up to or what you're doing, because there's usually that discouragement. Or if there's not open discouragement, they'll go, oh, I hope she doesn't disappoint herself the way she has in so many other times before. You see the kind of fear in their eyes going, oh, poor soul, she's never going to make that. And then they'll say, oh, I'm sure it'll be wonderful. There's no great genuine conviction in it. Say, oh good, it will help you, and so on and so forth. So be quiet about your accomplishments, what it is you want to accomplish. And I can guarantee you will accomplish far more than if you tell every single person. Oh God, help us with all these tweetings and bloggings and Facebookings and all of that, you know? We live in such a revelatory age and society here, but there are certain things that we must not reveal too quickly. We have to be like Mary and ponder them in our hearts. We have to be like mushrooms, grow in the dark for a while. That's where they begin. They grow in the dark for a while. And so that's what you and I have to do with that which really, really matters in our lives. And then when it begins to take root and it's happening and you have grown in the assurance and the courage and the conviction, then perhaps with maybe one or two very close people who genuinely want you to succeed and will be encouraging. But, you know, be very sure that your foundation and your roots are strong before that happens. And then would be the time. And you only ought to share with really tried and true safe people in your life. You know, people you know who are genuinely your friend and are there to support you and encourage you and to be your cheerleader. Otherwise, mum's the word, mum's the word. So treat, and I like the word treatment because it means you're handling something. I mean, I'm going to go to the chiropractor for as long as the chiropractor says, you know, come. Because I have a relationship that I trust with the chiropractor. And then when the chiropractor says, that's it, you don't need to come, even if you feel you want to come, no, you're finished, you're done, out you go. You're done, you're cooked, you're ready. And so it's the same with your treatment work. You treat until it is done. And every prayer is answered to some degree or another, depending upon your power of conviction. But every prayer is answered. Because before you speak, I have already given to you what it is that you desire, the scriptures say. Now you have to go and give it to yourself. It didn't say that, but that's what it implied. I've given it to you, go give it to yourself. Because it's always a co-creative thing with you and that which is greater than you are. That's why of myself I can do nothing. If I'm trying to do everything with the small self of myself, it's hit and miss. It's hit and miss. But if I wanted always to hit the mark, then I have to be in cooperation with my creator, with the senior partner, so to speak. I'm the junior partner, it's the senior partner. So I have to be in cooperation with that. So the junior partner does everything the junior partner can do, and then the senior partner brings it on home. That's the way it works. Over and out. Over to you. I've done my bit, you do yours. And it will, but you have to do your part. So it's that having that sense of you that I can handle this, whatever that this is, and never again to be threatened by anything outside of yourself. Knowing that there's something greater than I am knows how to go about handling this, if I'm open and receptive to it, if I can get my mind around it. And then to be able to relax into that and release it and let it go. And so once you've done your treatment, then you can go about your business and get on with it and not be worried or concerned about that thing anymore. Now, if you're still concerned and worried about it, you haven't prayed aright. You see, you haven't given it up and you haven't handed it over, you haven't released it. The whole idea is to know that there is a power for good in the universe greater than you are, and you get to use it. You can use it, and it will respond to you. And once you know that and you're clear about what it is you want and you're certain that you can have it, you believe deeply, you know deeply within yourself that you can realize this good, that's going to happen and nothing can get in its way. Nothing can stop it. Nothing. Nothing, nothing, nothing. In fact, somewhere in the textbook, Darla Holmes says that if there's something that you're absolutely convicted about that needs to happen in your life for your good, and you are absolutely certain and clear about it, even, he says, if something has to happen in Timbuktu, and he uses the word Timbuktu, for it to happen, it's going to happen in Timbuktu so that you can realize you're good. And way back then, Timbuktu was a very far away, exotic place. Nowadays, I mean, the world is no longer, that big, huge world it used to be. Global is local now anymore. But the point was, even what impossible thing has to occur for you to realize you're good, it will happen. Let's say today, he might say, even if that something had to happen on Mars for you to realize you're good, it would. It would. That's the power of conviction. That's the power of faith. That's the power of knowing. And you know what? You're not going to get to that power of conviction and faith if you're still depreciating yourself, thinking less of yourself, thinking yourself unworthy, thinking yourself non-deserving. That has to go. That has to go. Now that sounds easier than it is to do, because especially if we are used to people putting us down and believing what they're telling us since we were knee-high to a grasshopper, that's going to take a little bit of work. It's going to take some work. Because if you tell people the lie long enough, they'll begin to believe the lie. This doesn't happen only in individual lives, it happens in group lives too. How do you think people get to be the oppressors that they get to be? They start to fling a little mud, and then more, and then more, and then more about one group over another, until the aggressive group can see the other group as less than human. And the lie has taken root in that group conscious mind. And that's how they can do what they can do and succeed in terrible ways. So it can happen at an individual level and at a group level. So if anybody's been telling you lies about yourself and you've been believing them, then some work has to be done on that. And we know with children especially how impressionable they are and how things get imprinted on a small little mind, when of course there's no small little mind, small little individual expression in form. Because the beautiful thing to understand is that when a baby comes into being, it may be a small little material form, but the mind is full blown in that child. The mind of spirit is as large in the mind of a child as it is in the greatest of spiritualized beings that walks the plane. It's just from the human perspective, you have to go through a process of growth, physically speaking. But at that age, we come from that open receptivity in such a way, we're so still close to it, we're very impressionable, and things get imprinted upon our minds. So if you arrive up in daycare or something as a baby, and you're treated like you have no talent here or no talent there, that gets imprinted upon you and you begin to believe it. And then you begin to feel you're less than. And then you get a sense of, well, there are better people and lesser people. And you associate yourself with the lesser, the deprived. So if any of that is still going on within your consciousness, you need to do a little bit of spiritual rotor-rootering and uproot those things in your mind that tells you, well, you're not intelligent enough, and you're not able enough, and you're not this enough, and that enough, and the other enough for that to happen. And it's a great deal of nonsense, it truly is. There's no sense to it. in the spiritual realm. To realize anything you want to realize, all you have to do is be convicted about it and know your good in that form is there for you and you can have it. Your good is there for you in that form and you can have it. And it's not about how deserving you are, how worthy you are, or if you're on the nice list rather than the naughty list. It has to do with the generosity and the givingness of life, of the universe, of God, that gives to all, regardless. But it's up to each one to come forward and take what has been given. And none of us would deserve any of it, really. None of us would measure up if you were going to measure us up. None of us would. Haven't you ever received something when you less deserved it? And didn't you feel so good about it? I can remember a policeman stopping me one time. I don't know what I did. I was speeding or something, I don't know. I was going somewhere in a hurry. And as soon as he came up and I opened the window and so on, I said, have you ever given anybody a chance when they least deserved it? Those were my first words to him. And he was kind of taken aback. And I said, because if you ever have done that, I would love today to be another day for you to do that. And I would so deeply appreciate that, because any time anybody's ever done anything for me when I least deserve it, it just makes all the difference in my life. Actually, he let me go. I don't think he knew what to do with it. And that was divine inspiration. That didn't come from me. I must have been rushing to some good or another, I don't know. But, he'd never been greeted like that before, I guess, and I guess he understood that. I think we all understand being given a chance when we least deserve it, And for you, too, to give somebody a chance when they least deserve it. I do that sometimes when I'm out in a restaurant or something, and the waitress or the waiter has been awful, dreadful. And sometimes I say, you know what? She's going to get a really good tip from me, because they really don't deserve it. And I'm going to, because I remember that policeman giving me a chance. And behind that is, I don't know if they've had bad news or they have a pain or an ache or whatever it is, but to be that bitchy and awful, I mean, something has to be going on. Something. And maybe a kindness will shake them up. So these are the little acts of kindness that we all get to practice when we're out and about there. It's a lovely thing. So remember, the power of conviction is everything. And if you want to realize something, know it, know it, know it, know it, know it. And I know there are people sitting in this room today that, against all odds, have known and known and known and known and known something, and it happened. Well, goodness me, if it's going to happen once, it's going to happen all the time, if you can maintain that kind of conviction. I have no idea of the time. 5-2, isn't that great? And I only got to one question, and I had 4 marked. That means we've plenty more time for the rest of them, doesn't it? But this is the most important thing I could ever share with you. Your power to demonstrate. Your power to realize whatever good it is that you desire to realize. You can't be wishy-washy about it. You have to know, listen, I'm ready to let go of that. I'm ready to have this happen in my life. I'm ready to attract this into my life. I truly am ready. And I know this is good for me. And what's good for me is good for everybody. It's true. What's good for you is good for everybody. If you benefit and are blessed, everybody around you is going to benefit and blessed. If you're happy and joyous and glad, everybody around you is going to feel a little lighter. Because it's catching. That's a very attractive energy. And it's very catching. And you wouldn't have to do anything, say anything. You just have to walk into a room and you light it up. If you're a light yourself, you will walk into a room, and just by walking into the room, you light the room up. There's nothing for you to do. There's everything for you to be, and you can be it. You can be whatever that thing is. It's yours for the taking, but you have to take it. Action is required. Action, movement is required. First action and the first movement takes place in mind, takes place within you, takes place in emotion. And once the mind and emotion are together on something, oh boy, it's going to happen. That's a dynamite combination. When you add that emotion, conviction to the thought, you are ready to really dig deep and sow those seeds that the roots really take a grip on the soil, and nothing can prise them up out of the soil until that beautiful thing blossoms and comes to harvest. So have confidence in yourself. Have confidence in yourself, and know that the great, good, divine creator of us all would never create anything that couldn't flourish and thrive. Spirit would never create anything that hasn't got the power to flourish and to thrive and to become more of itself and to morph itself into more of itself and more of itself and more and more and more of itself, because its life is copious, unlimited. And you can splash around and dive into that sea of fullness anytime you so desire, or you can choose to sit longingly on the banks of it, wishing you were in there with all those others in there, splashing around joyfully and having a great good time. What's it to be? Time now to put on your wetsuit and dive deeply in and enjoy the wonders of the deep, because deep is calling upon deep. Allow yourself to respond, because you can. It's given to you. And only good awaits you when you know only good awaits you. So every day of your life, let your prayer on awakening be, I rise up in this blessed day to go forth to meet my good as my good comes forth to meet me. That's a good thing to know when you open your eyes in a new and blessed day. So when we leave the sanctuary, let you all go out there as the blessing that you are, and bless and praise and raise. First here, and then it'll flow out. And that is our lesson for today. It's a good thing. See you next time in the sanctuary.
Joy to the world, the Lord